You got there in the end.
I fiddled around a bit at the end. Great game, Mike. Who needs a team? One player does it all.
Thank you so much for your company. Look forward to seeing you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight, the fight to keep Australia out of recession. Immediate $750 bonus payments to millions of Australians. The $17 billion bailout. The share market smashed again. $130 billion in value gone in today's trade as World Health authorities declare an official pandemic. Hollywood legend Tom Hanks and his wife in isolation in Australia with coronavirus. The US bans flights from Europe. America's NBA suspends all play. Also tonight, a fire emergency at a Fairfield factory, thick smoke cover across the west. A state government minister escorted home by police found wandering late at night naked. The Devil's Playground, a whistleblower priest speaks out about new damning abuse allegations. And the NRL chief scathing attack on the Bulldogs over the Port Macquarie sex scandal.
Live from our Sydney headquarters, this is 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. 6.5 million Australians on Centrelink will receive a one-off payment of $750 next month. Announced by the Prime Minister today, it's part of a $17 billion plan to prevent a recession as a result of coronavirus. 3.5 million businesses will also benefit, receiving up to $25,000 in tax breaks, and they'll be able to claim $150,000 worth of assets.
A patriotic call for Australians to go out and spend for their country.
And this plan is about ensuring the Australian economy bounces back stronger.
Trying to prevent a virus-inspired recession with a $17.6 billion cash splash to those who are likely to spend it most. $750 to 6.5 million Australians, including pensioners, New Start recipients and those on family tax benefits, arriving on March 31, costing $4.8 billion. No applications necessary. Those eligible will receive the payments direct from Centrelink.
The biggest beneficiaries of that will be pensioners.
That includes part pensioners and Commonwealth Seniors card holders.
But let's put it in perspective. It's a little bit more than $2 a day.
Each measure is temporary. Each measure is targeted.
And targeted primarily at protecting jobs as the coronavirus threatens Australian workplaces from tradies to top 100 companies.
Our policies are designed to get people into jobs, to get young people into jobs.
On top of the 50% wage subsidies for apprentices, investment incentives and tax breaks to protect cash flow. For all but the biggest businesses, the instant tax write-off is turbocharged, increased to $150,000. And for 690,000 small and medium-sized businesses employing about 7.8 million Australians, tax relief of between $2,000 and $25,000.
For the Australian economy to continue to move forward, businesses need to continue to go forward.
Though the business cash splash won't cover sole traders, 1.5 million of them mostly tradies, while casual workers who get the virus or have to self-isolate will get a sickness payment through Centrelink with no waiting period. Most of the money is front-end loaded, $11 billion of it going out the door in the next 3 months, all trying to prevent that recession. As for the promised surplus, that's now officially dead.
And Australians understand that. Australians know that this needs to be the priority, and our government agrees with that priority.
No longer back in black, now deep in the red.
And our political editor Mark Riley joins me now from Canberra. Mark, will this be enough to avoid that recession?
Well, Mark, that tonight is the $17.6 billion question. The government obviously hopes it is, and a very similar package released by Kevin Rudd and Wayne Swan as their first response to the global financial crisis certainly did have an impact, but what we know is it'll be short-lived. No one knows just how long this virus will continue to hammer our economy. And if this doesn't work, then the government will release a second phase response in the May budget. The immediate objective, though, is to calm things down economically and people's anxiety levels. And that will be Scott Morrison's message tonight in a rare live address to the nation, which we'll broadcast here live on 7 straight after the news. Mark.
Mark Riley in a busy Canberra. Thank you. The stimulus package has done nothing to prevent another dark day on the share market. Network Finance editor Gemma Acton is at the stock exchange once again. Gemma, just how bad was it?
Well, market was savage. The ASX 200 lost around $127 billion and had its lowest close since November 2016. Following a strong start to the year, Australian shares have now lost a quarter of their value since the all-time high they reached just 3 weeks ago. While there was little reaction to the government's stimulus package, today's biggest falls came after the announcement of a sharp tightening of travel restrictions in the US. Qantas shares were down by around 10%, Flight Centre by more than 18%. Mark.
Gemma, thank you. 1.6 million people infected. That's the terrifying prediction from authorities for New South Wales alone as the virus was officially declared a pandemic today. There are now 157 confirmed cases in Australia, 78 here in New South Wales, as the global tally passes 124,000. The most high-profile patients to date, Tom Hanks and his wife, who are now in isolation after spending time in Sydney.
Pandemic aside, the coronavirus just got big. This is important! Claiming its first celebrity scalp, what started as a cough was later confirmed as COVID-19 for Hanks and his wife Rita on the Gold Coast last night.
My parents got coronavirus. Crazy.
The couple was spotted at Bondi on Saturday, but say they're now in isolation for as long as required in Australia to make a movie about Elvis. A week's worth of selfies with adoring Aussie fans will no doubt leave some suspicious minds.
Hello, hello.
With almost 80 cases in New South Wales alone, Sydney's getting the virus message any way it can.
This is one of the greatest challenges that our country has faced.
As the state's Emergency Operations Centre begins to track and respond to the virus's spread, a call today for calm.
There is no need to panic, but it's not business as usual.
And today, the first big hint of what might be. There are now real questions over this weekend. The Melbourne Grand Prix, the NRL openers, cricket's one-day internationals, and further out, the Easter show.
Unless they hear otherwise, they should proceed as usual.
But
our advice might change. So what you might hear today might be different from what you hear tomorrow.
The problem is here, Sydney's northern suburbs, the ongoing virus epicentre, and where this medical centre today had to shut up shop.
We clearly have some activity in the Ryan Hornsby area.
And
we have had cases where we can't find an epidemiological link.
4 of them, in fact.
They've obviously got it from somewhere, and that source may not be readily identifiable.
And that is the worry.
Australia has a couple of difficult choices to make, and all of them are unpalatable.
And here's why. Japan and South Korea shut down schools, shops and whole societies and have managed to slow the spread. But Italy and China left it too late, and numbers have since soared.
Do we go hard and early on reducing social contact, or do we wait a couple of weeks but probably paying a much higher cost?
Already on the table, extending the Easter holidays to keep students out of schools, and whatever happened to our bushfire spirit. Costco's toilet paper pile-on continued today as supermarkets say council curfews are stopping late-night trucks to restock shelves. Online deliveries are beginning to boom as some shun shopping centres altogether, with Domino's now launching doorstop deliveries.
I'm outside your house and your contactless delivery will be ready in 30 seconds.
Let's go to Evan Batten at Wahroonga now. And Evan, one of the new cases is a barista.
Mark, there are real concerns about a growing number of cases, people who've got coronavirus but they can't tell how they caught it. Among them is a barista who works here at the Pasta Deli at Wahroonga. They say she works here every day except Tuesdays and Thursdays. They want people who come to the deli here to look out for symptoms. They say the risk that she might have actually passed on the virus to them is very low, but they should be alert. Mark?
OK, Evan, thank you. Just a day after calling for calm, US President Donald Trump has announced sweeping new coronavirus measures, halting all travel from Europe with little notice. It won't include the UK, but the President says he can no longer delay as cases across America soar beyond 1,000.
President Trump,
my fellow Americans,
addresses the nation with a plan to halt a runaway train.
We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days.
Just over 48 hours notice for passengers. The ban does not include the UK or trade and goods, and there will be exemptions for US citizens.
Older Americans should also avoid non-essential travel.
Financial stimulus is coming. Plans for low-interest loans, deferred tax payments payments and payroll tax relief.
The virus will not have a chance against us.
Doctors predict it could infect 150 million Americans. And there are concerns for the president's own health.
I am confident that by counting and continuing,
closures are moving fast. Team owners finding out mid-game the NBA season is suspended.
It seemed more like out of a movie than reality.
A Utah player tested positive. In Italy, the national address came via Facebook. Its Prime Minister now ordering all non-essential shops to shut down. Globally, it's a domino effect. Hungary in a state of emergency. Germany warning 70% of people could be infected. In Denmark, all schools are closed. Classrooms also shut in Peru. Canada, $1 billion plan to save the economy. And in Iran, their vice president now has the virus. Washington state banning anything with more than 250 people.
The penalties are you might be killing your granddad if you don't do it.
In the United States, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
In just a few hours, the Olympic flame will be lit in Greece. Europe correspondent Sarah Greenhalgh is there. Sarah, it's hardly business as usual.
Mark, it's being held without spectators for the first time in more than 35 years due to coronavirus fears. Less than 100 officials will be given access, including the IOC president, who is adamant the Games are going ahead as planned. But with so many sporting events now succumbing to this virus and the situation changing just so rapidly, everyone here is asking, how can they? A Tokyo executive board member suggested a 2-year postponement. That idea was immediately slammed by Games bosses as inconceivable. The theme of the torch relay is Hope Lights Our Way, and there is a lot of people just hoping these Games go ahead with 134 days to go. Mark?
Sarah, thank you. The corona stimulus package should bring a sigh of relief for many Sydney businesses struggling to keep the doors open and keep staff employed. And there are hopes there'll be even more cash coming from the state government.
For apprentice carpenter Harrison, getting the job done is a priority. The economic flu seems a world away.
I just wake up, come to work and don't even worry about it, really.
For his boss, it's knocking at the door.
I don't want to let go of the guys that I've got. They're really good to me. A massive turn down in the industry itself, but this virus isn't making it any better.
There are around 86,000 apprentices in the state. The government's $1.3 billion investment to pay half their wage for 9 months has assured chippies like Harrison can keep their job.
It'll just keep us going.
With a cluster of cases around Ryde, streets are bare, shops, cafes empty.
This has been so quiet. It's dead quiet. It's been like this the whole day.
Tax relief will help keep them afloat, but it won't bring foot traffic.
So at the moment, there's not a big problem in going out to restaurants and cafes. People should feel safe doing that. If you're at home and you're buying online, don't buy from Amazon, don't buy from overseas. Go and find a local business.
There are fears the package might not be enough. There are now calls for the state government to come to the table and announce its own measures, like cutting the tax on payroll to help further ease the pressure on businesses. The Treasurer says he's investigating options. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
To other news now, and a huge inferno has ripped through a furniture factory in Fairfield East. The blaze sent flames metres into the air and pushed thick, acrid smoke across Western Sydney.
The fire broke out this afternoon and the situation rapidly escalated, as did the emergency response crews to deal with it.
Everyone behind the police car, please!
Within about 15 minutes, it had been declared a 6th alarm, meaning 20 fire trucks were brought in, around 80 firefighters to try and get it under control.
We actually in the premises itself, and we just saw a big bang.
Paramedics were on standby, but 7 News has been told that everyone was safely evacuated. But saving the building was an impossible task, with the roof quickly caving in. Nearby cars went up as well. Of major concern was that this fire would spread to nearby buildings. Firefighters pumping in all the resources they could, to try and make sure that what was already a huge blaze wouldn't get any bigger. With thick black smoke streaming into the sky, authorities have been monitoring air quality. Buses were delayed and traffic built up.
First arriving crew described the fire as the biggest fire they've ever seen.
Tonight, the major firefighting effort continues, and it could take some time before the blaze is fully extinguished. Nina Stevens, 7 News.
An observant neighbour is being praised for grabbing a suspected pedophile accused of sexually touching and recording children in their Campsie front yard. The 68-year-old is now behind bars facing multiple charges, including interfering with young girls.
An accused pedophile allegedly caught in the act.
Face down, you piece of
Anthony Carr taken down by a resident after trying to befriend 2 little girls.
Face the down, you dog.
The children aged 4 and 6 were having a picnic in the front yard of their Campsie units when police say the 68-year-old stranger offered the girls lollies and biscuits.
The man then intentionally sexually touched one of those girls, and then he began taking photographs and film of the girls.
Neighbour Malad Yusuf was suspicious, and when he went to check on the girls, he was sickened.
We grabbed him and did what we have to do. I was in shock when I confronted him. I was in shock as well because I've never experienced anything like that.
Saving the pair from further alleged abuse.
They ran inside once I approached him, and the young girl was crying.
Mr Yusuf restrained Carr until police arrived.
Thanks for doing that.
The accused pedophile is facing 10 charges, most of which are child sex offences. He faced Burwood Court this afternoon, sitting expressionless in the dock, with his lawyer saying the 68-year-old needs medical treatment for an arm injury. He didn't apply for bail and will return to court in April. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
Convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein is back in hospital tonight, rushed from his prison cell with chest pains, hours after being sentenced to 23 years in jail. Earlier, the former Hollywood power broker addressed the court, claiming due process has been lost.
The women whose voices turned rumours into a reckoning today, celebrating.
No one thought we'd be here today. No one thought Harvey would ever see a courtroom.
Harvey Weinstein's victims sitting front row as he told the court he was remorseful but totally confused. In a wheelchair, begging for leniency, he got none. The 67-year-old will spend the next 23 years, likely the rest of his life, behind bars.
That sentence that was just handed down by this court was obscene. That number was obnoxious.
How is Mr. Weinstein?
Disappointed, disillusioned, sad, a little bit broken.
Convicted of raping Jessica Mann and sexually assaulting Mimi Haley.
It's been a really difficult process to go through, a very invasive process, but ultimately it's been very healing, and I had no idea how much hurt and pain I was actually still carrying.
More than 100 women have made claims against Weinstein. Judge James Burke saying while this is a first conviction, it is not a first offence.
And so a few blocks from where he used to run his movie empire, Harvey Weinstein's downfall is complete. From limousines to prison vans, from red carpets to roll call at a New York state jail.
His lawyers vowing,
We're going to fight. We're going to fight.
In New York, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
A naked and confused state government minister has been escorted home by police twice in 1 hour.
Mr. Ward revealing he'd had 27
and has caused huge damage to the game. Let's go to Chief League reporter Michelle Bishop now. Michelle, it's been a Bulldogs.
Mark, this is a terrible look as we get set against the Bulldogs. Stinging attack on the Dogs' management to sack both players. It's intense pressure to survive. Greenberg in the NRL is certain to put the heat on Canterbury to come down hard on both players. Mark, the NRL's
making for fairly
record all those details coming up.
Champion.
I wonder if...
When you update your home tech, a lot of energy.
Ecovacs D-Bot 600, save 50.
How a Subaru meets the effortless efficiency of hybrid. Introducing the
solution. It also gives you...
Discover the...
Home's a bit of a sanctuary. They rehab at home. It's a bit unstressed and be home, which was really good for me and my mind. Who was the best?
Welcome back. A man in his 60s is being treated for head injuries after being hit by a car in North Sydney this morning. It happened just before 8:30 on Miller Street. He also suffered a number of minor injuries and was taken to Royal North Shore Hospital in a stable condition. A whistleblower priest is breaking his silence tonight about the complaint that helped launch an 18-month police investigation into one of the country's most senior Catholics. The Bishop of Broome voluntarily stood today.
Here in Australia, and I felt betrayed.
The Vatican intervened only after 7 News announced it would broadcast last night, but for months, not even a reply.
Pope's representative in this country, what have you heard back from him? Nothing.
Just last week, Bishop Saunders was sent a please explain by the Church over concerns he was drinking with young Aboriginal men. On Saturday, we witnessed the Bishop visiting 2 bottle shops and buying a slab of Jack Daniels with a young Aboriginal man, then an esky, and then ice.
And is it true that the professional standards has contacted you in the last week about supplying alcohol to young Aboriginal men?
I don't know anything about the stuff you're talking about.
The Diocese of Broome, with this bishop, has become the devil's playground.
In Broome, Chris Reason, 7 News.
Drag racing teenagers have survived a heart-stopping crash. It lasted less than a minute before the Lexus hit a ditch and went soaring, landing on its roof and then rolling. The car was left in pieces, scattered across the road. Neighbours say they're astounded anyone came out of the crash alive. They were told a young man broke some ribs. Kick-off for the NRL season tonight can't come soon enough, with the governing body desperate to shift focus back to the football after a scandal-plagued build-up. Mel McLaughlin is here, and Mel, tonight it's one of the biggest rivalries in the game.
It is a big fixture, Fergo. The Eels versus the Bulldogs in one of the great battles of the West. We'll cross live to former Parramatta captain Tim Manners soon in sport. The big question being, can the embattled Canterbury put their off-field dramas aside to spring an upset? Also coming up, we'll hear exclusively from Justin Langer, and the Aussie coach does very little to put to bed rumours of a return to leadership for Steve Smith. And no crowd, no worries. It's mission accomplished for the Matildas as they book their tickets to Tokyo. A little bit of an incident with a blackout as well during the match.
It did go dark.
Yeah, a little bit, but got it done.
OK, Mel, thank you. He's served almost 6 years for abusing a young co-star. Now, Hey Dad pedophile Robert Hughes has been refused parole. Next, why he's renounced his Aussie citizenship behind bars. 2 men sentenced over a brutal Central Coast attack that left a man dead in the street. Snakes alive, a young mum's surprise find in a bag of supermarket spuds. And what's this old army tank doing on a suburban Revesby street? We'll tell you next.
Footy is back, bigger than ever. The Tigers Premiership heroes kick it all off.
Oh, what about that?
Against a blue squad betting on an upset.
Look at Eddie Betts!
Then, Bulldogs and Magpies go head-to-head in a Friday night blockbuster.
Listen to that roar!
And after their grand final humiliation, the Giants are ready to make amends. But will the Cats extend their pain?
Really nice finish.
Thursday Night Footy headlines the biggest opening round ever. Live and free on 7 Mate.
Get your Woolies worth with Woolworths corned beef silverside, dropped to just $8 a kilo.
That's why I pick Woolies.
I love my dog, my tiny baby.
Discover the new garden collection at Pandora. No matter how they sleep, take comfort that Huggies newborn nappies with Huggies Dry Touch layer quickly absorbs runny poos. And our super soft outer cover provides our best care for your newborn's delicate skin. Huggies, be comfortable in your skin.
Well, at least 5G is fast.
Get your Woolies worth with Woolworths Cook butterflied lamb shoulder varieties, dropped to just $19 a kilo.
That's why I pick Woolies.
What's he gonna forget? Message Tim. Did you get chicken salt? I'm still feeling it.
Nothing spoils that Toyota value feeling. Get Corolla Hatch Ascent Sport Petrol from $96 per week with Toyota Access. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
We need to come up with some exciting activities.
What about singing?
Singing.
Get your Woolies worth with Aussie pork leg boneless roast, dropped to just $8.50 a kilo.
That's why I pick Woolies.
Welcome back. Two thugs who stomped a man to death in a drunken brawl were jailed for up to 16 years today. The victim, 21-year-old Jaden Mason, was attacked as he left Wyong Leagues Club in June 2017.
Jay, he got justice for Jaden.
Jaden's killers were convicted of manslaughter. Both were on parole for previous crimes at the time. Former Hey Dad star Robert Hughes has been refused parole after serving 6 years of his 11-year sentence for child sex offences. We can also reveal Hughes has renounced his Australian citizenship in a bid to be deported to the UK when he eventually is released.
Behind bars, he has remained defiant. Actor Robert Hughes continues to deny he molested underage cast members on the sitcom Hey Dad.
Why me? Is it something I did in the past life?
He served the 6-year minimum, but Hughes' hopes of a quick release were today dashed. His parole rejected.
At some point, you know you're guilty. Stop making us go through this. You did it to us as a kid. Stop making us live it again.
In a statement, the State Parole Authority said the SPA decided without structured post-release plans and parole supervision, Hughes presents an unacceptable risk to community safety. The SPA also refused to grant Hughes an automatic review of the decision. A dual British-Australian citizen, in December, Hughes renounced his Australian citizenship, meaning he could be deported upon release, not bound by any parole conditions. In a possible further complication, a recent change of policy by the British government means they can now refuse entry to people convicted of sex offences. Today, the British consulate was unable to tell us whether or not Hughes would be allowed back into Britain, where his wife and daughter live and where he was arrested in 2012. If his appeal to this decision fails, parole won't be reconsidered until next year. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
The parents of the children killed by an alleged drunk driver at Oatlands last month say the pain endures. Danny and Layla Abdallah were speaking at a memorial mass last night for their 3 children and their cousin who were hit while walking to buy ice cream.
Our hearts are in a lot of pain and our minds cannot fully comprehend all that has happened.
It's been 40 days and in the Maronite Church, that's time for departed souls to leave the earth and ascend to heaven. A piece of Australian military history is turning plenty of heads in Sydney. A tank found parked on the side of the road in Revesby. It's a 1950 Centurion battle tank that, after some TLC, could be rolling up to a party or celebration near you.
Beside the M5, a 53-tonne tank is leaving passers-by a little shell-shocked.
Would I want no dramas?
People called 000 when it turned up this week, leaving puzzled police to inspect the unexpected piece of military hardware.
The coppers were here taking selfies the first day, so it was actually good. All the locals came down and had a look at it.
The Centurion battle tank belongs to Mohammed Ibrahim, the owner of Queen Street Customs. They're usually known for hiring out luxury cars at over-the-top weddings, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royce and Ferraris. Now they're bringing in the big artillery.
If you want it at your birthday, at your wedding, at a grand opening, whatever it is, it will be there.
The Centurions were built in the 50s and served the Australian Army for 2 decades before being auctioned off. This one doesn't fire or drive. The task of getting it running again falls to Terry Ryan.
I think I've seen one once, but it doesn't make a difference. Engine's an engine.
Even when they do get this machine running, the question is it even allowed to drive on the roads? The owner says yes, he's planning on stripping down the weight and installing rubber tracks, but ultimately getting approvals will be a battle.
And the people who hire it are certain calibre.
Oh, they got to be pretty rich, or they got to have a big ego.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
A Coffs Harbour mother has had the fright of her life opening a bag of potatoes she just bought, only to watch a snake jump out. Even more worrying, it slithered straight towards her son, who has a heart defect.
Marissa Davidson was preparing a meal at home and opened a sealed 4-kilo bag of Woolworths potatoes. And then, she says, out came a snake.
I was in shock. I ended up shaking. I didn't know what to do.
The snake was headed straight towards her 5-year-old son, Chase.
I ended up picking my son up and grabbing the closest thing, which was a laundry basket, and putting it on the snake.
A marsh snake, common on the East Coast.
A lot of people have been bitten by them. And it's more localised pain and swelling, similar to a bee or a wasp.
The problem is Chase has a serious heart defect,
which is half a heart. If he got bitten by this snake, he would end up in hospital and on fluids, and I'm not sure what else.
She disposed of the snake, putting it in her fridge. Woolies has apologised, messaging Marissa, at your earliest convenience, please return the snake to the Park Beach Plaza store service desk.
Quite a few snakes tend to move around the country in our produce.
Woolworths will investigate this snake case. Marissa won't be rushing back for more spuds.
And the only time I do, there's a bloody snake in it.
Chris Marr, 7 News.
She was born a month before the Anzacs landed at Gallipoli. Now a Bankstown great-grandmother is celebrating her 105th birthday. Next, what's her secret? Also, pop star Katy Perry brings hope to a bushfire-ravaged community. As the clock ticks down to Tokyo 2020, the technical innovations that will transform the way you watch.
And enjoy the sunshine while it lasts, because there are showers on the way for Sydney. Details soon.
He's made headlines, but he's spoken to no one. He's shocked Australia countless times, but maintained his silence. The most shocking is still to come, when Ben Cousins breaks his silence. Only on 7.
Don't let this great offer pass you by. Get paid the best tote price on all Exactas, Quinellas, Trifectas, First Fours and Quaddies every Saturday in Melbourne and Sydney this autumn carnival. Bet easy. Raise your game.
Join any combined hospital and extras cover online with NIB and we'll waive the 2 and 6 month wait on extras. Plus, join by March 31 and get 1 month free. Reclaim your health with NIB today.
Meaning. We search for it our entire lives. The meaning in our existence. Work. Beliefs. Relationships. We're consumed by a need to find it. But it's when we stop searching and start feeling. Suddenly it's there. The two-grown coupe. Because...
Installation's simple. You just plug in.
And play.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mum.
Mars. Enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good.
You've got a lot of living to do in retirement.
Are you confident you can pay for it? Add a Challenger lifetime annuity to your retirement income and you'll enjoy guaranteed income for life, helping to cover your living costs. It complements other income sources like your super and the age pension. So like thousands of other retirees, you too can look forward with confidence. Find out more at challenger.com.au.
What do I love? I love riding my bike. What do I love? I love my dog, my tiny baby.
I love to teach. I love all my little Einsteins.
I love not blending in. I love to stand out. I love taking off in aeroplanes.
Discover the new garden collection at Pandora.
To the markets now, and as we reported, it's been a bleak day. 127 billion wiped off as the US travel ban sparks recession fears. A sea of red on the board, travel stocks like Flight Centre plummeting on Donald Trump's announcement. And one Aussie dollar is now buying 64.5 US cents. Fuel prices are back on the rise today. They reached an average of $1.26.9 a litre. We did find regular unleaded for $1.11.6 in Sydenham. An aged care home in Bankstown hosted a very special party today, celebrating a resident's 105th birthday. Amy Gobert is months away from witnessing a fifth generation to come into the world and believes being active and eating well is the key to living a long time.
She's celebrating 105 laps around the sun, but Amy Gobert says today feels like any other.
I don't feel any different.
Celebrating her birthday and reflecting on years past.
And I got married in 1940. In the war years, when you were born, that was when the Japanese bombed Bondi. I used to have a cask of Chardonnay that lasted me 3 weeks. Oh, 3 weeks. That lasted me 3 weeks.
Born and raised in Bathurst, Amy is a mother of 4, grandmother to 10, great-grandmother to 13 and soon to be great-great-grandmother. She and her husband spent 70 years living in Yagoona.
And he said to George, I'll sell you a block for £40. So he did.
Her children say despite her age, she still holds a reputation as a card shark.
And now she plays euchre outside in the courtyard and I play it with her and she loves it when she wins and I lose.
According to Amy, the secret to living a long and happy life is keeping active and making your bed every morning.
There's nothing worse than walking into a room and seeing an unmade bed.
So what does Amy want most of all this birthday?
Lie down, have a sleep.
After 105 years, a nap well deserved. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Yeah, very happy birthday, Amy. Pop superstar Katy Perry has performed a free concert for victims of the Victorian bushfire disaster. Thousands turned out in Bright, including volunteer firefighters who joined the singer on stage. It's hope Easter and the ski season will bring a tourism boost to the region. With Tokyo 2020 just 134 days away, some star power will be brought to this year's Olympics coverage. Among them, top broadcasters and sporting legends, plus new technology to bring you the games as you've never seen them before. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is back with sport here and it's mission accomplished for the Matildas.
It is, Fergo. They are on the plane to Tokyo after a successful qualification campaign and superstar Sam was on the score sheet again. More details next. Plus, we'll head to Parramatta and hear from an Eels great as a Bulldogs recruit is set for a special moment with his dad. And the Aussies take time out to help some bushfire-affected kids ahead of tomorrow's start to the one-day series with New Zealand.
Marco, what are you doing here?
Would you forgive your brother if he tried to steal your wife?
You're not welcome here.
Last thing I want to do... Ben, there's something I wanted to tell you for the past 20 years. Just tell Ben that we slept together.
Home and Away, next on 7.
At Volvo, we know that all families are different. From Mr. and Mrs. muddling through to Mrs. and Mrs. going strong. and the happy accident that changes everything. But no matter how different families are, there's one thing they all share. One thing they all value: each other. The all-new Volvo V60 wagon. Protect what's important. Omtanke. We welcome you to try it. Volvo.
Stream every game on your TV or device, anywhere, anytime with KO.
At 98% fat-free and only 44 calories per serve, it's the versatile way to get through the day. Arnott's Cruskets, deliciously light.
What if we need a little more space? Like really soon? How much more house can we afford?
Whatever your housing question, Westpac can help.
G'day, mate.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
This is calamari.
Calamari to the seafood aisle.
I take you.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Dare emergency averted. Grab a dare, and you could instantly win 10 grand to tackle your dare emergency. T's and C's apply.
One of my favourite things about BetEasy is all of the perks.
Like watching every Sydney race live, so you can watch all the action from the Sydney Autumn Racing Carnival anywhere, anytime. BetEasy, raise your game.
Visit the HIA Home Show to improve your home or apartment. Find innovative ideas, hot new products, home trends and special. See tiny houses, landscape inspiration, mural painting and a house auction. Starts Friday. ICC Sydney. Get your free tickets online.
Paradise at your place. Transform any space into an oasis.
You won't believe what's possible.
On New Better Homes, Friday on 7.
Welcome back. The NRL season is about to begin as the Bulldogs try and put a terrible 48 hours behind them and cause an upset against Parramatta. Away from all the controversy will be a special night for a Canterbury recruit.
The Dogs are desperate to unleash tonight after 48 hours of hell. Dean Britt will make his club debut, a new recruit from Souths with a famous name.
He's a chip off the old block. I've seen a little bit of footage of his old man and seems pretty similar to how he played the game as well.
Gives it back to Darren Britt. He will score.
The 25-year-old is the son of former premiership-winning prop Darren Britt. He also captained the club in the 90s.
He likes to offload a bit. Not that I do. I probably should.
What about when you were a kid, where you got back in the car, 14, 15, did he tell you did this wrong, that wrong? Like, was he one of those dads?
Oh, he wouldn't be into me. He was never nagging.
His first pre-season at Belmore has been anything but easy after complications with having his tonsils removed.
I had another bleed in my throat, so I had to go back in hospital, get it stitched back up. So I didn't eat barely ate for 2 weeks.
He was skinny as a rake. He was. Real. I think he'd lost about 10 kilos or something like that and couldn't train for the first couple of weeks.
Tonight, this father and son will share a special moment. Darren will present Dean with his jersey before the match.
For your dad to do it when he was, a previous captain of the club, it's going to be very special and emotional, and I'd say it'll get the boys pretty fired up.
Well, let's go back to Parramatta to Chief League reporter Michelle Bishop. And Shell, the Eels will be tough to beat tonight.
Good evening, Mel. Well, it certainly looks that way given what the Dogs have experienced in the last couple of days. But on a much brighter note, I'm joined by Eels legend Tim Manor, who's getting used to life after football. It has to be a huge distraction tonight for the Dogs.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think it's the distraction, Michelle, that's going to really bother them. I think it's missing 2 strike players. I think those 2 guys are a big part of their team, and the distraction part as a footy team you can get on with and you can kind of get on with the job ahead of you, but missing 2 key players is really going to hurt them tonight.
Parramatta, a great roster this year. What are they, top 4 contenders?
Yeah, well, you'd think after last year, finishing 5th and also adding Ryan Madison and Regan Campbell-Gillard to the team, anything less than that is a failure. So I think they really want to strive for a top 4 position, and I think that's an expectation internally and externally.
Well, while you go and get used to life in the stands, it'll be tough. Some huge news for Raiders fans with co-captain Jared Croker signing on as a Raider for life. He's extended his deal for another 4 years. Mel.
That is big news. Thank you to Tim and Michelle Bishop there at Parramatta Stadium. Well, the Matildas are on their way to Tokyo after beating Vietnam in front of an empty stadium last night. The Olympic qualifiers started in bizarre fashion after the lights went out in less than a minute in. When they came back on, it was Australian superstar Sam Kerr running the show.
Sam Kerr delivers, scores the opening goal again, and Australia, they can start getting the boarding passes ready for Tokyo 2020.
That they can. The Matildas captain then set up the second for Hayley Raso. Vietnam were able to pull 1 goal back, but it was too late as the Matildas sealed their place in Tokyo with a 7-1 aggregate win. Liverpool has been bundled out of the Champions League after a dramatic extra-time loss to Atletico Madrid. The Reds looked to have the win after taking the lead early in extra time, but Atletico just would not give in. The Spaniards scored 3 extra-time goals, knocking out the reigning champions 4-2 on aggregate. Australian cricket coach Justin Langer has fueled speculation Steve Smith will be promoted to vice-captain when his leadership ban ends this month. As the Aussies prepare to take on New Zealand in a one-day series at home, there's been talk Smith will be rewarded.
There'll be lots of talk. We're really clear behind closed doors what's our vision for that is. So we'll just keep working through that.
The players conducted a coaching clinic with kids from Tumut today who've been impacted by the bushfires, and there were plenty of smiles.
If we can put some smiles on the kids from Tumut's face in this instance, or their parents, just to be at the SCG and meet some of the players, then that's one of the great privileges of playing for Australia.
The Australians take on New Zealand in the opening one-day tomorrow night at the SCG, Fergo. And Justin Langer, he did a bit of a Q&A with the kids, and he said, have you got any advice for us? One of the kids said, score more runs.
Score more runs, that always
easy.
helps. More runs, more wickets.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, Mel is among the lineup for our Tokyo Olympics coverage team, announced today, that includes some brilliant broadcasters and sporting legends. And going hand in hand, groundbreaking technology, which will headline Seven's Games coverage.
134 days out from the opening ceremony, the launch of Seven's coverage team. Front and centre, Bruce McAvaney for his 11th Olympic Games.
I'm thinking there's every chance that we can, if we're not doubling our gold medal total from Rio, that we're getting close to 13 or 14 gold medals.
There are especially high hopes this time around for our women's contingent.
We've had plenty of Aussie female superstars in the past, of course, at Olympic Games and plenty of gold medals, but I think this one's going to be something special.
Gold medal chances in surfing with Steph Gilmore, tennis, our own Ash Barty, and a superstar in the making, teenager Ariane Titmus.
I mean, so much is about her and her excellence and the fact that she's the world champion, but it's also about who she has to beat. She has to climb Everest by beating Katie Ledecky, who's already got 5 Olympic gold medals.
Among familiar faces, some new ones too. Ian Thorpe will be poolside and Amir's trackside. For the first time this year, 33 dedicated channels running 24 hours a day, streaming in 4K. Another thing to look forward to, the Tokyo time zone, an hour ahead of Perth and an hour behind the East Coast. And that means the biggest events, the swimming and athletics finals, will be in our prime time.
For us, it's the next best thing to having it right here on our own soil.
Coverage begins July 24. Cameron Price, 7 News.
Coming up, Angie Asmus has the forecast. Ange, how's the weekend shaping up?
Well, Mark, there is a great change on the way come Saturday as those rain clouds gather once again. Details next.
Marco, what are you doing here?
Would you forgive your brother if he tried to steal your wife?
You're not welcome here.
Last thing I want to do, Ben, there's something I wanted to tell you for the past 20 years. Just tell Ben that we slept together.
Home and Away, next on 7.
Now pink with attitude. New Superstay Matte Ink Pink Edition from Maybelline, New York. Liquid matte formula. New powerful pinks. Up to 16-hour wear. New Superstay Matte Ink Pink Edition. Only from Maybelline, New York.
Stream every game on your TV or device, anywhere, anytime with KO.
At Coles, you can rely on us for your corn chips and for fixing your chipped bumpers. With Coles Comprehensive Car Insurance, you get quality repairs you can trust. Search Little Red Quote today.
Not now.
Gloss black grille, 19-inch black alloy wheels, panoramic sunroof, and more. New Sorrento Black Edition from $48,990 drive away.
5 days only at Harvey Norman. $300 million home appliance clearance. Come in store and do the deal across a huge range of home appliances. Miele dishwashers from only $9.99. Fisher & Paykel 7.5 kilo front load washer now under $600. Dyson V10 animal cordless vac hot at just $7.95. This higher family size fridge only $8.88 plus bonus delivery and install. More in store and online. Don't miss out. Over $300 million in stock, all price to go. Ends Monday at Harvey Norman.
Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $65 a month. Add more services to your account to save even more. The future is exciting. Ready?
When you see a home loan offer this good, you can't help but be a little excited. Talk to us today or ask your broker.
The Australian Ballet presents Vault. This is your chance to see 3 explosive works in one electric evening of modern dance. Book your seats now for an unforgettable night out with the Australian Ballet. Tickets are selling fast.
You could be filling up for free. Every Friday, we're giving away a $5,000 fuel gift card. Fuel your Friday on Sunrise. 7 News is giving you the opportunity to win one of hundreds of family tickets to the Sydney Royal Easter Show every night this week. Head to 7news.com.au/Easter Show and enter tonight's code word FUN with your details now. Be watching 7 News tomorrow night for another chance to win. The Coronavirus Clean. How to protect your home, car and phone. The 20-minute sweep that could safeguard your family. On 7 News tomorrow.
Tonight, 7 News headlines, $750 bonus payments to millions of Australians in the government's coronavirus stimulus plan. Prime Minister Morrison is about to give a rare address to the nation. We'll have that broadcast soon. Hollywood legend Tom Hanks and his wife in isolation in Australia infected with COVID-19. And fire has ripped through a factory in Western Sydney. Now, the latest on Sydney's weather, here's Angie.
Thanks very much, Mark. Well, there is a grade change due to reach Sydney just in time for the weekend, so make the most of this evening and tomorrow. We reached a sunny top of 25.3 degrees in the CBD this afternoon. That followed a low of 17.3, and any showers were pretty isolated. Across the suburbs, mostly we saw tops of 25 or 26 degrees today. Nora Head and Penrith were about the warmest at 27. Katoomba reached a very nice 21. Onshore winds are still the dominant feature over our state. They are triggering the odd shower, especially on the north coast. Tomorrow, those winds will become more northerly, increasing temperatures slightly. But what we're also watching is a cold front just sitting to our south. That will bring a significant change over the weekend as it edges closer. This is what that change is likely to look like. Widespread showers moving up from the south. Over 5 days, we could see some decent pockets of rain across the state, but especially from about Sydney north. Now, tomorrow's capitals, Brisbane, expecting a possible shower and a top of 27 degrees. Staying fine in Canberra, a lovely top of 26. Remaining warm in Melbourne, 29, with a late showery change to follow. Showers developing for Hobart as well, top of 23. Adelaide will be much cooler after a warm week, 23 is the forecast top. Overcast and 28 degrees expected for Perth. Darwin, mostly sunny and 34. Statewide, onshore winds will continue to drive those showers just in the northeast corner. The rest of the state is going to remain fine again, although although you can just see the start of that change start to edge into southern New South Wales here, bringing some showery conditions for Albury and the Snowy Mountains. Falls pretty light at this stage though. Closer in, we're on track for a beautiful end to the working week tomorrow. The mostly sunny skies continue, as do the warm temperatures. We're looking at a top of about 24 degrees on the beach at Cronulla, 25 for Mascot and for Hornsby. Blacktown to reach 27, 28's the forecast top for Penrith, and Katoomba a very pleasant top of 22. On the coast, winds at first will be variable at around 10 knots, then becoming northeasterly from late afternoon, increasing to about 15 knots. For the CBD, a low of 17 tonight, a warm top of 26 degrees. The weekend, though, will bring that change. Shower or two for Saturday, top of 23. Then fairly heavy falls starting to develop on Sunday and Monday, heaviest in this city with around 15 millimetres. So enjoy the sunshine tomorrow, Mel and Mark.
We will do. Thank you, Angie.
Thanks.
Good on you. We're going live now to Kirribilli, where the Prime Minister is about to address the nation about the coronavirus pandemic.
Good evening, Australia. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the global coronavirus, what it means for you and your family, and what the government is doing to see Australia through. This virus began in China and has now reached some 114 countries. More than 224,000 people have contracted the virus, including 140 here in Australia. The medical experts tell us that for most Australians in good health who contract the virus, they will experience a mild illness. That said, this virus is also highly transmissible, and for those Australians whose health is more vulnerable, especially the elderly, the risk is more severe. While this is a global health crisis, there are very real and significant economic impacts. For all of these reasons, we have been taking the coronavirus very seriously. I want to assure you and your family tonight that while Australia cannot and is not immune from this virus, we are well prepared and we are well equipped to deal with it, and we do have a clear plan to see Australia through. Our plan has three goals. 1, protect Australians' health. 2, secure Australians' jobs and livelihoods. And 3, set Australia up to bounce back stronger when the crisis is over. Firstly, to protect Australians. We were one of the first countries to recognise the seriousness of the coronavirus. We quickly established travel bans from the most affected countries and scaled up our screening and protection on our borders. We evacuated Australians from virus hotspots and set up quarantine facilities. And we have funded a $2.4 billion National Health Response Plan to set up more than 100 pop-up clinics and to provide extra support for aged care facilities, increased funding for public hospitals, and boost our national medical stockpile for essential medicines and masks. Secondly, to keep Australians in jobs and businesses in business, we have today announced a $17.6 billion economic stimulus plan. We're subsidising half the wages of 117,000 apprentices in small businesses. We're providing one-off $750 payments to more than 6 million Australians to spend in our economy now. Almost 2.5 million pensioners will receive this support. There's direct cash support of up to $25,000 for small and medium-sized businesses that employ over 7 million Australians to boost their cash flow. And we're backing businesses to keep investing by increasing tax incentives to help them buy new equipment now. And thirdly, once the virus has run its course, we are making sure Australia can bounce back strongly. For the most affected regions and industries, like tourism and Upper North Queensland, there is a special $1 billion fund to support targeted local recovery plans. And as our economy bounces back, which it will, so will our budget, because we have not loaded up spending off into the future. We can take this action now because we have worked hard to bring the budget back into balance, to maintain our AAA credit rating, and work with the state governments to provide a world-class health system. Now, I know many Australians are anxious about this, and we do still have a long way to go. But be assured, we are taking action and we have a clear plan. The months ahead will present many challenges, but we will respond to them. We will continue to keep you updated and take decisions based on the best possible medical advice. And if you have any questions, please visit health.gov.au or talk to your local GP. We'll get through this together, Australia. We all have a role to play: employers, nurses, doctors, teachers, scientists, friends, family and neighbours. I know we'll all do our bit. Thank you for listening tonight, and good night, Australia.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison there with a live address to the nation, trying to assure Australians that his government has the coronavirus challenge under control. His main message: don't panic, but be prepared, advising Australians to take precautions to protect their own health and those of others without changing their fundamental way of life. Mr Morrison says his government is taking all possible measures at its disposal to protect Australians' health and well-being and their jobs, an important message as the financial cost of this crisis mounts and Australians' nest eggs are hammered in the biggest stock market plunge in more than a decade. The surplus and that back-in-black boast have now officially gone, and the prospect of Australia falling into its first recession in almost 30 years is a very real challenge. There's one challenge, though, that Scott Morrison didn't mention tonight, and that's his own personal challenge. It is moments like these that make and break Prime Ministers, times when the nation looks to them for true leadership and a clear path to see us through a period of deep uncertainty, a time when the nation asks its leader to run towards the challenge and not walk away. This is, without doubt, that time, that moment for Scott Morrison. The coming months will tell how he fares. But now, on a big news day here in Canberra, it's back to you in the newsroom.
OK, Mark, thank you. Political editor Mark Riley there in Canberra. That is 7 News for this Thursday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.